In other words, it's a multi-assessment aspect, and I think the future, we really have to have different ways to measure, because you have to draw upon different people to tell you whether you're on the right track or not.
Let me tell you a story about assessment. It's just a little personal story that I think challenges our thinking about assessment. First graduate course I took as a school administrator was a course in curriculum and assessment at East Carolina University in North Carolina. I had a professor from Louisiana that I could hardly understand his accent, and he made us work so hard, and we had to read so much, and it was a real shock for what graduate level education was. And he challenged us. We were all scared to death of him, and it came time for the final exam, and we thought, there's no way we're going to ever pass this final exam. We had study groups and everything, and we worked so hard, and we, were really afraid of the exam. We came in there, and it was a variety of short essay, multiple choice, that kind of thing. I don't remember exactly all of the points of the test, and we worked for most of the 2 hours. And then he said, okay, any books that you brought with you, you can use to finish the test. Wow, we thought our notes and everything, we have access to them. We start, looking in them and everything. A little bit later, he said, if you want to stay a little longer, you can talk to anybody in the room and get any information. And so we thought, wow, we can go. And sometimes we would debate with each other about, what's the right answer on this test. And thought, wow, that's kind of nice. He's letting us use all of that. And then he said, well, let's grade this test and see how well you do. And this was the final exam in this really tough graduate course. And he said, it's really important that assessment also be learning. And you're never going to forget these issues that we've raised in this test today, because you've really thought about it deeply on your own. You've looked in your notes and tried to find expert opinions about it. You've had conversation with your colleagues on it. And now you're going to find the right answers. And I never forgot that about assessment. How many times have you had a test where it was a learning experience in that sort of deep way?
One of the things I think is that I can speak for myself. I'm a former teacher. As we were coming up, we didn't learn how to teach not problem solving, but how critical thinking, those kinds of things. What's being done in schools of education to advance those kind of skills that we talk about that the kids do need for today in the preparatory program?
There's an element in a number of the courses that promote people grappling with issues and problems, and so people learning to be school administrators are faced with problems that administrators have to face every day. In fact, there's a ways to arrange it that they deal with very practical kinds of issues. So that would be one way.
Okay.
At Kent State, one of the things that we're doing is looking at world-class curriculum like International Baccalaureate curriculum and see how we can embed that into our teacher preparation program. And part of that world-class curriculum is a real constructivist approach where inquiry is the methodology that you should use. We currently are teaching that to all of our elementary and secondary teachers in the preparation course. But one of the things that we have found is that when they go out and actually teach in schools and we do follow-up studies, they're not teaching that way, even though the preparation has prepared them. And what happens is there's a culture of every school. If you're using some kind of methodology and you're the curriculum director and you're expecting me to perform on these assessments, and I'm going to start teaching like my colleagues. And very soon after they have been in that school culture, the way that they have been taught is forgotten, and they become teachers like their peers. So our challenge is now try to figure out how what we are teaching them stays with them when they go to school.
Okay. I think we've talked about a number of the challenges that we have in terms of this whole topic of educational reform. What are the positives going on right now? How are we moving towards making our schools more effective, making our students ready to face the world that they're going to live in?
Well, you know, Rich, first I think that a major positive is we have the finest elementary and secondary education system in the world. We have the finest higher education system in the world. That's why countries all over the world come to visit our schools to look at what we're doing. And we have also the finest teaching force, the greatest, I think there are 3.7 million teachers in the country, something like that. And they are well educated, they really produce well. We have a very educated populace. It's the strength of the country, and we shouldn't lose this. We're the envy of the world with it. If we go to other countries and there's some issues with international comparisons, what gets forgotten is not everybody gets to go to school. And a lot of kids are pushed out of school. There aren't enough seats for everybody in school. These are really important, and that's what's made this country what it is today. And it can get lost in this idea of competition and rank ordering. Now, that's not to say we don't have all kinds of problems, all types of issues where we can get better and improve. And as I mentioned before, the quality of your school shouldn't depend on where you live. And schools shouldn't constantly in this country have to spend all their time raising money with school levies or contributions or corporate support, or all the time going into special grants. And this whole idea of you put a levy on the ballot, it fails, you cut all the programs, and then you start again. I mean, these aren't the good things, but it's a great system, and it's for everybody, and it is what has made the country what it is today.
And what I like about the system is that you have great opportunities for creativity. A lot of schools now are reorganizing their school buildings and their curriculum based on certain kind of concepts. We at CSU are going to start a K-12 school on our campus along with the Cleveland Municipal School System. And we're going to make it an international academy. Usually international academies are associated with private, well-off schools, or in big cities like New York and Chicago associated with diplomats. But this is going to be an opportunity for city kids and the kids of our faculty and staff to have a high-quality school right downtown. And our hope is then people will do what? Start
Coming back to the city.
That's right, start living downtown. So come on down.
I think one of the good things that we can see today is what's happening right now. And our level of awareness of the importance of improving our schools, I think, is at an all-time high. When you look at, now part of the reason why it's at an all-time high is because of, in some aspects, we're at all-time lows. When you think of school districts from, when you see wealthy school districts that are failing levies and having to cut sports programs and music programs, people are crying out, what is going on with our schools, particularly around funding? What are the issues here that are addressing, that are causing these issues and forcing us to eliminate important programs that we know have value? So I think our level of awareness has improved, and with that, you're really going to start to see some changes in how we do policy, because people are going to be demanding that we have changes. So I think that's the best thing that we have going right now.
When do they ask questions, Rich?
In just a moment. Okay. Yeah, you're tired of mine.
No,
Okay. Should we? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your talk now, and we will be opening up after a few announcements, I believe, to the students. Correct. I think. Okay. Yes.